folks, Sarah Goodman here. I'm the museum educator at Drakewell Museum and Park in Titusville, Pennsylvania. Drakewell is the birthplace of the modern petroleum industry. There's a drop of oil and gas in your life every day thanks to Drakewell. But enough about that. We're not here to talk about the history of Drakewell today. We're here to do an activity called What Is It? You are going to help me figure out a mystery as to what this object is in front of me. This object is part of our for-use collection. That means that it is an artifact that we are allowed to take out of collections. We're allowed to touch it, examine it, look at it, and learn from it. These are objects that are part of the everyday life here in the oil region, both in the home and in the workplace. And you are going to help me figure out exactly what the object is. I'm going to give you a brief description about the object, and then I'm going to explain 3 different ways to use this object, and you have to figure out which is the right way to use the object so that we can figure out what this object is. So this object right here, it's lightweight. It's about 3 feet long. It is made of metal and also wood. This kind of looks like a handle, and this is a basket, and it's got hinges on it, and you can open the lid. And if you could see closely, it's mesh, almost like a screen. Okay, so that's a brief description of what the object is. Now, let's figure out how to use this object. The first way I think they might have used this object in the early oil region is by maybe using it to catch fish. We do have Oil Creek right here that runs through the oil region. We also have the Allegheny River. So there was a lot of great opportunities to do fishing. So maybe it is for catching fish. You would place some bait in here, and this is a little bit broken at the moment, but maybe there was something to hold this lid up, and a fish would come swimming by, and he would go into the net, and there you go. You catch a fish. So maybe it is for catching fish in Oil Creek. That is guess number 1. What else could this have been? Well, maybe guess number 2 has something to do with cooking. I think that might be it. Did you know that they liked popcorn in the 1800s? And they would cook it quite often? So I think this might be a popcorn popper. Sounds a little silly, doesn't it? But it could work for that. What you would do is you'd take the basket, you would place some kernels of corn into the basket, shake, shake, shake this over the fire, and the popcorn would pop. And guess what? This lid would keep the popcorn in. So guess number 2 is that it was used for popping popcorn. That's a pretty good guess, isn't it? I thought so. Now, what do you think guess number 3 is? Well, I bet that when I was cooking popcorn, you said, you know, that looks pretty familiar to something that's used today that I've seen. So, I think this is for frying food. I think this is for frying maybe French fries, like at McDonald's when they put the fries in the basket and drop it in the oil. But I think that, yes, they ate French fries back then, but I think they caught their fish in it and then maybe they fried their fish in it. So we could put the fish in here and dunk it down into the oil and cook the fish. So guess number 3 is that this was used for frying foods. So I've given you 3 guesses. Which is the correct guess? Is it guess number 1, that it was used for catching fish? Is it guess number 2, that it was used for making popcorn? Or is it guess number 3, that it was used for frying foods? I'll give you a minute to think about it. Has it been a minute? I think it has. Do you have a guess? I know you do. I bet you know exactly what this is. Are you ready? Are you sure? Do you really want to know? I bet you do. Guess what? It's number 2. This is a popcorn popper. Kernels of corn were placed in the basket, and over a fire you would shake the basket, keeping the kernels from burning and turning into wonderful popcorn. Popcorn was a treat in the 19th and 20th century, and even today. We eat it when we watch movies, we eat it at parties when we gather, and they did the same thing in the early oil region. They would make popcorn as a treat when people gathered. They would also make popcorn to decorate at Christmas time. So popcorn was a very popular treat in the early oil region. So this is a popcorn popper. I hope you enjoyed today's activity, and join us again for another What Is It? Hope to see you soon at Drakewell Museum and Park. Have a great